Hello, all you coin collectors out there, and welcome to DC Coin World International Coin Channel. Today we have the Canadian 1 cent coins from 1960 and 1961. We've just been doing a series on the Canadian pennies. We usually do 2 years at a time, and this is the 1960 and 1961. As you can see, it says Elizabeth II Dea Gratia Regina, or Elizabeth II by the grace of God, Queen, and it says that on both of them. They both have these denticles around the inside of the uh, rim, as you can see here. Now, both of them are bronze coins. They are 98% copper, 0.5% uh, tin, and 0.15% zinc. So pretty much a copper coin all the way through. If you turn this one over, you take a look at this, and this is interesting. People say, why don't you clean that coin? Well, we don't clean our coins. For one reason is because collectors value them more if they have a patina and stuff on them. And for another reason, it does tend to damage the coins. And so this coin actually, you've all seen this probably on copper and that's been left out in the weather. It actually turns blue. Statue of Liberty actually has a kind of a bluish tinge to it where it has been out in the weather. So copper does this when it weathers, especially in any kind of wet weather. And it actually makes the copper stronger, they tell me. And this, if you look here, it almost has like a little reddish tint here. And then on this one, we'll turn it over and we'll see that this is the 1960. At the top it says 1 cent, has the maple leaves here, 1960 in Canada. And on this one it says, of course, 1961. So let's flip them over so we can go 60 and 61. And we see the KG here for George Kruger Gray, who did this engraving on the coin. And one of the varieties you'll find in the 1960 is what is called the hanging or doubled, well, the hanging zero, and we don't really have that on here. And then there's some doubling on the 9 and the doubling on the KG, which we're not really seeing on this coin. And you also, for the 1960, for the varieties, I would look at Coins and Canada, which has kind of the pricing and the varieties on them. For the 1961, we also have some doubling. And sometimes it's a doubling on the legend, sometimes it's an off-center or die crack, and sometimes it's a doubling on the hanging, they call it the hanging one here. And we don't have a hanging one or any doubling on this particular coin. So, how many did they make? Well, it turns out in 1961 they made 139.6 million. And in 1960, they made, let me get it, 72.77 million. So they made a huge number more in 1960 than 1961. If you look at world coins in the US, you'll see some big jumps in the early 60s, right around 1960. You'll see big jumps in coins production around the world in 1960, 61, 62, 63, because the economies were finally recovering from fully recovering from World War II, and of course, the United States economy was recovering from the Korean War also. And so when we start seeing these, we start seeing huge numbers of these made. This coin was only made for a few years. It was made from 1953 until 1964. And the reason for that is the 53 coin, of course, was the coronation coin. And then this was the image placed on those coins from 53 on. But as the queen got older, they went to change the image. In 1965, they went from this, which was the first portrait, to what they called the second portrait. And so the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth in 1965 would look something like this, with the actual crown, the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara on her. So this is the first portrait, kind of the young woman or girlish portrait. This is the kind of growing queen portrait. And this one here actually comes from 1969, but they started producing this particular portrait, the second portrait, in 1965. This portrait here, again, I didn't bring up the engraver, but of course it's the Mary Gillick portrait, which was retouched on the Canadian coins by Thomas Shingles, the engraver Thomas Shingles. All right, that's all we have today from the DC Coin World International Coin Channel. Have a great time coin hunting out there. And if you have any comments, please leave them in the comment section. And we'd love to have you subscribe to the DC Coin World International Coin Channel.